Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. I'm Tara Douglas. We had a wonderful spaghetti dinner last week with the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill. We're raising money for the Spay and Neuter voucher sale. So thank you to everyone who came out and ate spaghetti and gave us generous donations. It's because of you and this community that we're able to provide those low-cost spay and neuter vouchers. And we provide those all year, so make sure that if you need one, they are available at Mutt Cuts at 210 Calhoun Avenue. So anytime you need that, stop by and talk to Missy Turner and get you a voucher. Now we also are in, well, let's talk about our available dog of the week. So we've got Franklin. We'll have a picture of him up in just a moment. He is a wonderful dog at the shelter. He has heterochromia, so he's got 2 different color eyes, and so he's a really fascinating dog. He is super sweet. If you go and walk around and look at all the dogs at the shelter, he's the one that's going to be acting possibly the craziest at his kennel because he wants out, and he is just a bundle of energy. But he is such a sweet boy when we get him out for walks. And Anthony Rodriguez with No Worries Dog Training got him out last week because he volunteers most Saturdays at the shelter. And he said that this dog loves the water. So we have a stream right there by the shelter. And he got out there in his element and had the best time last Saturday. So if you want to adopt a dog, please come by the shelter. Or if you are interested in Franklin in particular, please come by and take him for a walk and get him near that water because that just makes his day. And we'll be out again this Saturday from 11 to 1 walking dogs, and we can always use all of the help that we can get. So thank you so much to everybody that comes out every weekend, and we'll see everybody this weekend again at 11 o'clock. Now we are in the second week of the Marble Festival, and we've had such a wonderful time. We've had wonderful sculptors that have come out from all across the U.S., and we are fortunate enough to have one of those sculptors with us today. So we have Karen Terhune today. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Terhune, yeah.
Terhune. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
This is your second year coming to
Correct.
the festival, correct? Because I already feel like you're just a part of the crew. You've just kind of swept in there, and the community loves you and loves your art, and we're just happy to have you here. We feel like you've been coming all along. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a sculptor. I've been carving a little over 40 years, and started out in 79, and started carving professionally in 82 when I graduated college. And I've always been one of those people who's always had a job. I had to have a job to be able to do my art, knowing that the bills were paid. So, and people used to say, "Oh, this is your hobby." And it's like, no, I work way too hard at this for ever be a hobby. It's my part-time job. So, but I've always carved, and I was working a job that was more than full-time and on the art fair circuit for many, many, many years, for about 20 years. And eventually quit doing that, and now I'm retired, so carving's finally my full-time job.
That's great.
And I'm loving every minute of it.
Now, where do you live?
In Kentucky.
Okay.
Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
And did you grow up in that area?
Yeah, I grew up in Louisville.
Okay. What got you interested in art? Or in sculpting in particular?
That's a funny story. Actually, from the time I was 4 years old, people say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" A nurse, a nurse, a nurse. Anybody asked, the family loved to ask me because it never changed. Mm-hmm. Well, then I flunked chemistry in high school and said, well, maybe I'll do art. So.
Do you have other artists in your family? Or?
No.
Okay.
My brother would draw cartoons a little bit, and Mom could draw. She'd draw something, but nobody actually drew. I mean, they didn't draw drawings; they just doodle. And anyway, I always colored and did art in grade school, middle school, high school. So anyway, so I gravitated. So I did major in art, and I had to take a class called 3D design. Every art major did, and one of the things we had to do was carve a little rock. Okay. So from that moment on, I was hooked.
You knew you wanted to sculpt.
Yeah, and so I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones because I knew from that moment. I didn't get out of college and then trying to search for my thing to do,
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, you carve a lot of different types of stone. Where do you typically get your stone?
Most of my stone comes from out west and in Indiana.
Okay.
But I do get some from Italy and other places here in the U.S.
So how do you choose? So you get, this is always an interesting thing to get into the mind of a sculptor. How do you choose a stone? Do you already know what you want to sculpt? Do you find a stone to match that, or do you just find your art within the stone?
There's what they call direct carving and indirect carving, and I tend to do direct carving, which is you just start carving. You don't have an idea, sometimes the stone might give you a little hint what it wants to be, but I just, as I tell people that come up and ask me, how do you get started? Put a hole in it and say, let's see what happens now. So, but that literally is what I do, and for abstracts. And but sometimes I'll see a stone and it'll look like it'll remind me of something, a female figure, an animal, whatever, and then I'll carve that, and that's called indirect carving, because
Okay.
you're taking the idea to the stone.
And there's one of your pieces of art right there. Got a
Yeah.
beautiful cat.
Yeah, that's
this
called,
is Pet Connect after all, so
yeah.
I know you love to sculpt cats and you love cats.
Yeah, that's called Big Red. It lives in Chicago.
Okay. And then what kind of stone is that?
That's Utah red alabaster.
That's a beautiful
And that is the
stone.
same rock, it's just the base is textured to change the color.
Oh wow, that's such a difference there
Yeah.
with a lot of contrast. And there's another one of
There's
your cats.
another one that's called Catemplation. And again, that's the same stone, it's just the bottom, the base part is textured to change the color
Wow.
and give that contrast.
And there's some of yours that you
Yeah,
have
the
here
little
at the
abstracts.
festival this year. So I love your abstracts.
Yeah.
We got one of yours last year, and just enjoy it. It's in our dining room.
Thank you.
But definitely go down to the library this year, because all of the sculptors have pieces of art there that you can go and you can take something home from the Marble Festival and enjoy it. Now you sculpt cats, but you have cats.
Yes.
We have lots of stories about cats.
I have 4 cats, yes.
So tell us about your cats.
Well,
Well, there's 2 of them right there.
yeah, those are the boys. I actually got them at it sounds funny, at an art auction.
Oh, really?
It was an art
How
auction.
did that happen?
It was an art auction for a pet rescue, and they used to do yearly in Louisville for the Shamrock Society. And anyway, they had the cats there, and they were in another room because it was. But these boys were there was a third brother, but these boys were a bonded pair, and I was looking for a male cat, and these guys were a bonded pair, so I just adopted both of them together. And it's Opie and Otis. I didn't name them, but I like the name, so I didn't change it.
Now, did they help you sculpt, or do
I
they even know you sculpt?
actually only have one piece in process on them right now. Most of my cat pieces are from the first 3 cats I ever had.
Okay.
That inspired them, but I do have one in process of these 2 guys.
Do they ever go out with you while you're sculpting?
No,
Okay.
they're indoor, 100% indoor.
And then you've got 2 other cats. So
Yeah,
tell
then
us
there's
how you
2
acquired
females. Allie, I got her from the vet in Shepherdsville. There was some people who had barn cat had cats,
Okay.
or had kittens, so they were trying to get them home. So I adopted from them, and then I have the studio cat. That's her.
Is that studio cat?
That's Scarlet. Why they named her Scarlet, I don't know. I would have named her Smokey or Cinder or something, Cinderella. But anyway, she actually came through the Humane Society. She's a working cat from the Humane Society.
So
And,
I assume
and
that
she's
that's
showing
part
me,
of her job right
she's
there in front
showing
of her.
me that she, look, Mom, I did my job. Can you feed me now? So,
So I assume she keeps the mice away from all of your sculptures.
yeah, yeah. I got my first studio cat. I had one prior to her. Got my first studio cat when I had my drill broke in the middle of trying to get a project done, and I ran up and got a new drill. I ran up to Sears when Sears was still in business. Got a new drill, new hammer drill. Brought it home. About a couple weeks later, I pulled it out, and mice had chewed the insulation off part of the wire of the cord.
Okay.
So I was like, "Ooh, you declared war now!" So that's when I got the first studio cat, and then when she passed, I got this. But I went through the Humane Society with this one.
Okay, that's great.
And then, and like I say, then Allie was from somebody who owned a cat.
So these studio cats, I've never had a cat that didn't freak out with noise.
Well, she's
What are-
actually deaf now,
Okay.
but she never did freak out with the noise. She
Okay.
wouldn't hang out in there if I was making noise. She would come in and see what I was doing, but she wouldn't hang out. And now that she's deaf, she sleeps through it.
So she doesn't care
No.
anymore. That's one of our cats we called Shop Cat, because anytime Jonathan was working on any project, she had to be right there up under him and watching. So I guess we have had one cat that didn't care
Yeah.
about noise, but it's a rare thing to find a good shop cat or a good studio cat.
Yeah, yeah. But both mine are pretty good, and she stays out there in the winter. She stays. I let her in and out. She's out there at night in the winter, and then if it gets too cold, she comes in the house.
Okay.
And same thing if we have tornadic weather, she comes in for that too.
What does she think about being in the house versus
Well,
the
she
studio?
wants to be in the house, but she upsets the balance in there. The boys don't mind her, but the other females just like, oh, you're not coming in here.
Well, I know they're probably looking forward to you getting back home, even though we're sad that the Marble Festival's almost
Yeah,
over and all
I
the
know.
sculptors are leaving. But
Yeah, they'll ignore me the first day I get back, and then we'll go to bed and get next morning. Mom's here. So,
they have to punish you initially, at least.
yeah, they'll have to punish me.
Now, one other question. We said that this was your second year at the festival.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find out about the Marble Festival?
Actually, another carver from Kentucky. I don't think he's here this year, but he saw me at an art fair in Lexington, Kentucky, which was after this, and told me about it and said, you really ought to go down there. And
Now, what do you
and see
think
what's
about what's the difference when you said you get most of your stone from out west and Indiana, and you've got Sylacauga marble? How different is it to carve Sylacauga marble versus other types of stone?
Well, the marble in general is just harder. I don't really like using grinders and stuff, but I'm having to get used to that and learn, and because I'm wanting to do monumental work, and you almost have to do that
Okay.
to get it done in time, because you usually aren't under contract. But I like to carve with air hammer. Well, the limestone and alabaster takes air hammer better.
Okay. So you just have to use different tools.
Right. And the first 20 years I carved, I did it all by hand. I mean,
Okay.
all of it, hammer and chisel.
So,
And,
so are you enjoying using power tools now instead of just hammer and chisel? That seems
Well,
like that'd
again,
be hard.
I like air hammer, but like I say, the marble doesn't lend itself to carving as quickly with the air hammer. It'll come off. It's a longer process. It's like I say, I'm trying to use the grinders more this time around
Okay.
to, get familiar with it.
It is fascinating, though, to watch all of you out there sculpting, because everyone has so many different types of techniques, and there's so many different tools, and it's just fascinating to watch you get a chunk of marble and you make that first hole in it, like you said, and you figure out what the marble is telling you.
What's going to happen now?
And it's fascinating because you all have such beautiful art out there. So come on out to the Marble Festival and meet these sculptors. We're out there a few more days, so you've got more time to come out, and then also go by the B.B. Comer Library to see all of the art that the sculptors brought with them, because they have beautiful pieces that are there for sale. And like I said, you can take a piece of the festival home with you. And Karen, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for asking
And we
me.
expect you back here next year for the Marble Festival, and make your cats mad because you come to Sylacauga for a
Right.
couple of weeks. But we appreciate you, and we appreciate your art, and thanks for coming to Sylacauga.
Well, thank you for having me.
And we'll have you back on the show next year, maybe. You can tell us more cat stories. You can acquire another cat or something
There you
between
go.
now and then.
I might. You never know.
So thank you so much for joining us for Pet Connect today. Make sure to come out to the shelter this Saturday and help us walk dogs. We're there from 11 to 1 every single Saturday. And we'll have more Daybreak after these messages.